Hey guys, welcome back to the BMW Blog YouTube channel and welcome to Munich. We're once again in a very secret location, the location where BMW tends to keep their upcoming cars. And today we have a brand new one. If you haven't recognized it instantly, let me tell you what we have here. This is the brand new generation F71 series, and as you can see, it has changed quite a bit. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the design changes outside and inside, of course. Then we're going to talk about the specs and so much more. So stay tuned because we have a lot to cover. So to make this a little bit easier, we paired up all the three cars right here because they're different variants. You have the 120 variants right there, and then you have the top of the line M135. So we're going to start with this one because, as you can see, it's completely different at the front than all the others. As you expect, it's got a more aggressive M design, and that starts with this new kidney grille, a little bit elongated, and of course you have these horizontal slats, which sometimes BMW likes to call them motorsport inspired. Of course, they're a little bit more aggressive in design than the other ones. It's got the M Sport Pro package, like some of the newer BMWs, and because of that, it's also getting the extended shuttle line with black elements inside the headlights. And then, of course, you have the more aggressive front fascia at the bottom, piano black, of course, painted, and you can see this more aggressive styling right there. The nose has got more of a positive angle, so that gives the car this typical BMW shark nose. Honestly, if you look from the side, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Neue Klasse sedan that we've seen recently. So clearly BMW is trying to streamline the design language to bring cars together. And that's also relevant when it comes to the headlights. So you can see similar to a lot of the new products, still you have these double LED lamps in there, vertical of course. They're positioned a little bit different than some of the other models, but the idea is kind of the same. You still have this shot line right here, which we've seen in some of the new products too. And then you have these creases running across, which they meet right here on the bottom to give this car a more focused road look. You might have noticed that the kidney grille actually sits a little bit lower than the headlights. And that's once again to emphasize the sportiness and to bring the mass down, at least visually, at the front. All right, now let's look at the side of the car. Of course, it does resemble a bit the outgoing 1 Series, but there are a few changes. That also starts with the wheels. You can get up to 19-inch in size. You have here the M Sport brakes with 18-inch discs. And of course, you have the red calipers, which are now kind of specific to the M Sport Pro package and to some of the top-of-the-line BMW models. Still get the M badges right there because it's an M performance automobile. No surprise there. Because of that, you're also getting the M style mirrors. It's one of those things that some people love and some others hate it because they feel like this should be reserved for the M cars, but this is old news by now. A couple of different creases on the car. I'm used to seeing a very high character line running across, and you still have it there, but it kind of just goes across right below the window, right on top of the door handle. And then you have an additional crease right there, kind of through the middle of the car. I guess once again, the idea with that line, it's usually to make the car look a little bit shorter, closer to the ground, and they use these lines to emphasize that visually. There is an additional crease, which is interesting. This kind of starts at the top here, and it kind of fades down, and it just connects to the front right there. And what it does, it really gives the car a more sporty look, but it also emphasizes the shoulders in the back, and we're going to take a look at that in a second. Based on the variant that you're looking at, you're going to get a rocker panel on the bottom in a different color. So in this case, it's all black. You can see kind of like a two-tone paired up with the Alpine white on the car. It is not an M car, like a full M car, so you're not getting an optional or a standard carbon fiber roof. You're getting this black painted roof right there. It's an option. If you don't have this one, you're going to get the car within the same color as the entire body. If you move to the back, you do see a change here. You have the number 1 engraved onto the Hofmeister King. So the Hofmeister King, it's still there. This is something that we've seen on the 5 Series as well and some other models. Now let's move to the back and take a look at some of the features here, the design features here. And this starts with the roof spoiler. As you can see, it's got a different shape. Usually you see that shape kind of floating downwards, but right now it kind of just scoops up here. So it's got a completely different design than we usually see. I'm assuming it's very aerodynamic, and this is why they use that particular design. It's got this scoop in the middle, of course, for the airflow to come through. And I'm pretty sure if I follow those 2 lines, they're going to connect to the hood and to the kidney grille. I guess the biggest change In the rear, it's the M135 badge, so there is no more I, and that's to be expected. I've talked about this a few weeks ago. I was chatting with the head of product planning for BMW product management, and he was telling me that they're trying to standardize a little bit the product lineup, and the I will be now reserved for electric vehicles. So future cars like the X3 and others are losing the I. The diesel still keeps it, and then of course you have, in the case of other cars, you will have that I for the electric vehicles. Quad pipes, right? So we've seen this coming. We've seen the X1, we've seen the X2, and I guess some others. They're trickling down from the M brand to the M Performance automobile, and you have them right here. I believe they're probably 100 millimeters in size. I'm not 100% sure, but they look quite big. And they do give the car a very sporty stance at the back. So once again, it's a thing that you either love it or hate it. Maybe some people, they want to have a little bit of more M in their cars, and they don't have a 1M, for example, because there is no such variant, then they would love to see some M elements on it. Diffuser, once again, piano black painted, quite aggressive, kind of wraps around nicely around these pipes and emphasizes the sportiness of this M135. All right, taillights, interesting ones, because we're used to seeing the L-shaped design with the light bars running across, but clearly this one is part of the X1 and X2 family, the UKL, as BMW likes to call it, the entry-level lineup with the front-wheel drive, and I'm assuming they wanted to bring this one close in character to the X2, and this is why you have very similar taillights. This double interpretation of the iconic BMW double headlamps from the front, they're now reflected into the rear. They also stick out quite a bit. Once again, another visual trick that BMW likes to use it to emphasize the width of the car, to extend the width of the car, to make it look more massive, more muscular from the rear. I also like the tapered look in the back. So the shoulder kind of tapers right here, and it kind of connects nicely with the trunk. And once again, another visual trick to just make the car look a little bit bigger from the back without having any obnoxious fenders. Since we're here, might as well let's open the trunk and talk about the space in the trunk. So if you get the 120 version, for example, with a 48-mile hybrid, then you're only going to get about 300 liters of cargo space. You can extend that up to 1135 in that case. If you're getting the 12-volt B48 in this case, then you get about 380 standard, and it can be extended up to 1200. I don't have the figures from the previous generation, but I was told they're actually quite similar when it comes to the cargo size. There is a little bit of a, like in all the newer BMWs, a little bit of additional storage underneath here. It's actually quite spacious there, so you can store a few things. This one lifts up like all the way, and you can actually prop it and store some things in there. You can fold the seats down, of course, and that's going to give you that additional cargo space. So let's close this up. So before you move inside, let's talk about the engine a little bit more. So it's a revised, BMW likes to call them technical upgrades. I think it's B48 TU3 by now. It's a 2.0 liter four-cylinder engine, and it comes with a small caveat. The power output, it's a little bit different in Europe versus the rest of the world. So because of the emission regulations and all of that, you're getting the OPF filter on the car. So this one makes 301 PS, the rest of the world 316 PS. Because of that OPF, the sound note will be also different. This one will sound a little bit more tame compared to the other variants outside of Europe. 400 Newton meters of torque, enough to take you from 0 to 100 kph in about 4.9 seconds, and a top speed of 250 kilometers. So with that being said, how about we take a look inside, because there are quite a few changes in there, and then we can talk about some other packages offered on the car. Let's hop inside. So of course, at the first glance, you will notice some things from other BMWs like the X1 and the X2, for example, but there are quite a few differences, and that starts with the integration of this curved display. Even though it's identical to the one in the X1 and X2, the integration within the dashboard is completely different. There is a housing kind of solution right here, which pushes the screen a little bit backwards. That makes this integration a lot more fluid, and it looks nicer in my opinion. You will notice also this cool M stitching on the dashboard, 3 of them, of course. This is specific to the BMW M135. So if you order the top of the line car, you will get this. There is also a specific M light color right there. Of course, you can change this in multiple ways. You can go into the sport mode, and you're going to get this exclusive M color right there as well. You can see the sequence. It's going to turn into the M colors as well. So that's quite cool. Speaking of other cool things inside, little nuggets here and there, we have this trim with lights underneath, so essentially that color can be changed as well. So I think it's more of a aluminum combination there, which is unique to this particular car. M Sport seats, they're unique to the M135 because you have the integrated headrest, so it looks quite sporty, kind of like a racing seat. Of course, you have the illuminated M logo right there, more M stitches and M colors. Then of course it's Alcantara with this Veganza leather, which is really the name for the fake leather that's been used in some of these cars. Center console, no more iDrive controller. I kind of expected this. All the UKL products, the entry-level SUVs and the entry-level BMWs have lost this one, and this has been a long time coming. We knew it's gone. It is gone. It is what it is. You have to do everything via touchscreen or via voice. Of course, you have this toggle shifter, which is different than in other BMWs, but the overall area here, it is pretty similar to the X1 and X2. There is a wireless charger right there. Clearly, you gotta have that today. I wish there was a vertical integration because it's a lot easier to look at the phone quickly if you want to just glance. There is additional storage there, so they're trying to make the car a bit more practical. So you can store either your phone there, you can store a key, more like a key probably, or a wallet. It's got this rough surface, so it's not gonna slide, as you can see, so that's quite cool. Operating system 9, it's a little bit faster than before. It's not as laggy as it used to be. I haven't seen any lag actually right now, but you get the idea. They've been working on this to improve it, to make it a lot better than it was in the X1 and X2, for example. What else is new? More storage space in here, something that you expect to see. And I guess the one thing that I'm curious about, let me see if I can open the dashboard. Yep, as I guess, there is no light in there. That's something on the X1 and X2 as well. And now I pay attention to this, so there is no light in this glove box. So if it's dark outside, it might be tough to look in there. Of course, more M badges on the door sills. And then, of course, the M stitching on the seat belt. You can see from the inside that this one does not retract, so essentially you can retract this. You always gonna have the Alcantara on top, so there is no light coming in, and you saw the black roof on top. Steering wheel, you have larger paddles than before. Of course, there is a boost mode on the left side, there is a plus on the right side. You can downshift and upshift, of course, and you can use the boost mode to give you some additional power when needed for a very short period of time. Typical M Sport steering wheel, it does not have the flat bottom from other cars. It does have the M stitching, so that's nice. And of course, the 12 o'clock red marker, another staple right now in the BMW cars. Other than that, more stitching on the side, blue stitching, typical to M colors, more storage on the door, so that's nice. There is a new handle here today you can use to close the door, so it's quite functional, quite ergonomic actually. So that's nice, sounds pretty good too. Speakers integrated into the A-pillar. There is another Harman Kardon speaker right there integrated. I'm not sure how many there are inside the car, but apparently they sound pretty good. I guess now it's time to kind of check out the rear space. That's something I always do because I'm quite tall. So once again, if you've been watching my videos, you know I'm 1.9 meters tall, I'm 6'2"-ish. So let me see what would be my driving position if I were to race this car. So yeah, I think this will be good. So let me hop in the back and then we can take a look at the rear space for this little one series. All right, so seat has been adjusted to my driving position. You can see decent knee room. Of course, it's got the scoops in the seat just like most of the new BMWs. It's even more aggressive in this one. You can see it's really sculpted in, so you can push your feet in there if you need to. Of course, if you're on the taller side, you have a lot more room to put your knees in. But overall, yeah, decent space, I guess, something that you expect. Even though the car is about 4 centimeters longer and 1.5 centimeters taller, the interior space, I was told, it's quite similar to the outgoing model. About 4 centimeters of headroom, so you can see right there, decent. And of course, some decent elbow room. Of course, not as good as in bigger BMWs. You have this scoop in the middle, so I'm assuming that helps quite a bit if you have a third passenger. Of course, it will be a little bit tight in here, so I would prefer to have maybe a child in here versus 3 adults. That's going to make traveling a little bit more difficult. The seat bench, a little bit angled, I guess, to give you that headroom. It is non-adjustable, so unlike the X2, you're not able to adjust the angle of the recliner, so it's all fixed. Of course, they can be put flat to get that additional storage. You can see these nice openings for the fixed headrest. It's not a functional piece, more of a design piece. Then of course, as always, assuming you have these cup holders right here with this armrest, and this makes a difference if the two of you are traveling and you need to share this common space. So really, no surprises here. Like most of the new BMWs, the idea with this car is that it's mostly a car for two people. If you do want to travel for shorter distance with four people, you can. But even if on the taller side of things, I adjusted the seats at the same level, you do seem to have decent space in here. So it's actually not bad at all considering my height. USB-C, of course, really nothing new. It's in all the new BMWs. Also two here, a couple in the front, because it's all about devices these days. The more, the better. That M stitching can be found also in the back, so really nice touch. Then, of course, the same dual combination between Alcantara and this Veganza. So with that being said, how about I'm gonna hop outside and we're gonna move on and take a look at the base model's 120. So before we jump into the design of the base model, the 120, let's talk just a little bit more about the MPA version. You're also getting the slip differential, of course, that's part of always the M Performance models, and that's something that's encouraged to have in a car because it makes a difference when you're driving. And then secondly, you're getting an M Technik package. So it's essentially a tuned up M package that gives you some additional stiffness in the chassis. The bearings are different, the dampers, the software tuning setup, and a lot of other goodies in there, which apparently make the car be quite fun to drive. I was told that the driving character should be a little bit different than the outgoing model, and you might have even more fun with this one. There's one more caveat as well. You can also get the M compound brakes, which come with 19-inch discs. So that's going to make a difference in the stopping power if you're going fast with that car. So done with that, let's move on to this one. So 120, again, completely different than this one. And that starts with the kidney grille. So brand new design, never seen on a BMW before. All blacked out for most of the markets, with the exception of very few markets which requested these slats to be in a chrome silverish color. For Europe, for sure, you're getting only this version. And as you can see, you have this V shape, I guess, that's formed right there. And then, of course, you got these vertical slats. Based on what I see, you know, from my limited knowledge in design, you have this crease that connects to the vertical slat. And then, of course, you have this line that comes from the side, goes all the way down, and it connects to the vertical one. So I'm assuming it's always about symmetry and geometry, and BMW wants to bring everything together. And I got a feeling that we might see this in different patterns somewhere else, but we'll take a look at that. Same thing as the other one, more of a positive nose, shark nose. That looks cool. Looks quite closer to the ground than usual, I would say. I mean, similar to that one, and that's because of the positioning of the kidney grille, a little bit lower than the headlights, just like the other model. Same M Sport package. This one does not have the Pro in it, which means you're losing the extended shuttle line and the black accents inside. But other than that, really identical at the front. Air intakes are also the same, the geometry on the bottom too. That's a Alpine white color, and this is the skyscraper. Not too many changes on the side. So you've got the same side skirts, dual tone, same design lines. The only difference is really this mirror. It's not an M-style mirror like on that car, so this is the base one that you're getting. You can still have the black painted roof as well. But I guess one thing that's worth noting, we're so used to seeing the flush door handles on some of the new cars. This one still retains this handle, which I actually like quite a bit. 18-inch wheels. It's got also blue calipers. You can still spec this car with the M compound brakes if you want, but you do need the 19-inch wheels and tires because they need to accommodate the larger discs. In the back, there is a little bit of a difference, right? Taillights are the same, of course. The overall geometry is the same, with the exception that you're not getting that aggressive roof spoiler from the MPA model. And this 120 logo, now it looks kind of strange because for a while we've been complaining about too many badges on the car, and now it feels a little bit strange because there's just a little tiny one. It shows the model type 120 right there. I'm assuming some people will love this, others maybe not, but I honestly prefer this. It looks a lot cleaner without the X-Drive and the I and all of that. It's just going to take some time not seeing that I there. No pipes, of course, so the only time you're going to get a pipe is if you're ordering the M135. And as you can see, the geometry and the design of the diffuser, it's also different. Quite aggressive actually for not having the pipes. Looks okay. Also, the reflectors are a little bit different than from the other model. I'm going to show you in 1 second, but overall it does mimic the one that you see on the MPA model. Now let's take a look inside because there's just few small differences. We don't even have to jump inside. I can just point them out quickly. Different seat design, M Sport seats. Of course, that's all Alcantara. You can see the steering wheel is just a little bit different. It does not have the 12 o'clock red marker or black one. No M stitching, but same kind of geometry there too. You're still getting that design right there with the trim, different trim as well. So I'm assuming there are quite a few options when it comes to that. And you're not getting the M style colors when you open the door, that welcoming message, and you cannot change to that. That's reserved for that particular car. Other than that, really, no differences, no major differences that I can see. Quite similar. And then of course, if you're ordering the M Sport package or Pro, you're also getting the M stitching on the dashboard, and you can see it in that car. If you move around, maybe you can see that the headrest is not fixed in this case. Perfect. Now let's talk a little bit about specs. Of course, there is a major difference in the engine. You have a B48 in that car, and you have a B38 in this one. 1.5 liter 3-cylinder makes 170 PS, 280 Newton meters of torque, enough to take it from 0 to 100 in about 7.8 seconds. Top speed is also different, 250 to 26. The weight difference is also quite important. 1,550 in this one and 1,425. So there is a weight penalty of about 125 kilos because of the MX drive system, the X drive system in that car, and also because of the additional probably standard features in the car. Now let's take a look at the last car here, and this is the base model. So as you can see immediately, same geometry when it comes to the kidney grille. Of course, we may be really identical, but it's the lower front bumper, front fascia that it's different, less aggressive, more tamed down, and that's the difference between these two cars. Of course, that's still a 120, same power output. This one is just the design that's different. Of course, you have these air intakes a little bit smaller here, less aggressive in design, and of course, no extended shadow line on this car. Other than that, really identical. I'm assuming we might have different wheels on this car as well. Yes, a little bit different wheels, so you get to see another wheel design on the car. You can get them from 17 to 19 inch across the entire lineup. Of course, they vary from car to car. This one is the Cape York green color. It's becoming a staple in the BMW lineup. It's been used across models from the X1 all the way up to the 5 Series and maybe even higher. I don't remember all of them. Of course, always prefer to have the big wheels on the car because they fill the wheels quite well, and it makes the car look a lot more aggressive. You can tell that this is more of a base model, and this is why BMW wanted to show you this one. Now, if you move to the back, of course, you expect the diffuser to also be more tamed down, so not as aggressive than the other models, and that's the case right here. You have the reflectors integrated within the diffuser right there. Less shapes, cleaner look, and then of course you have the 120 badge. Now if you look inside, I'm assuming we might see another trim level in here, and we do. So this is a new material in the car. It's called Econeer. You might see it in other upcoming BMWs, which I can't really talk about it yet, but it is the base offering in this one. Of course, you still can get the Vaganza if you want to, an Alcantara. A little bit more plastic in this car. It's the cheaper car. And of course, you still have the Harman Kardon if you want to upgrade to. You can also see the dual tone seats in Econeer the same way. You have that blue and gray combination. And the steering wheel, really, it's a little bit different than on this one. It doesn't have the M Sport character in it, and that's really the difference there as well. And the lighting is not going to be the same as on the MPA model. But other than that, really no major difference between these models. What's also worth mentioning about this, it also gets the 48-volt mild hybrid, just like this particular model there. A first for BMW in this segment, and the 1 Series, of course, it's the addition of a level 2 functionality, and essentially you can drive hands-free up to maybe about 10 seconds, then you have to take over the steering wheel, but it helps a little bit if you have to have a very long road trip when you want to relax once in a while. Another addition in the 1 Series family, it's the Parking Assistant Professional package, which is available also with the remote parking feature in the My BMW app. There is another caveat there. So if you have the 48-volt mild hybrid version like this too, you do have that feature. If you're buying the nearly $20,000 or euros more expensive MPA, then you're not getting that because it has a 12-volt system, and apparently there is a technical limitation there. I don't know the full details. We will find out in the future. The other thing that you're getting in the car, it's this 360 camera view, so that's also new for this one. So BMW wants you to also get this €10 per month digital package, which comes with a lot of goodies like unlimited data. You can stream a lot of shows inside the car. You get some upgrades when it comes to the navigation and other digital features, including some additional games. If you're wondering, no, the heated steering wheel, it is not part of the package. So if you paid for it, you will always have it. So let's talk about market introduction. But first off, this is not coming to the US. Just in case you were wondering, I'm sure nobody expected this to come to the US. It is not a car for the US customers. Base price, 116 model starts at $32,600. But if you want to get a 120, you're going to have to pay $37,900. And if you want to get a top of the line and probably the most fun car to drive, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, 56,200 euros. These cars go on sale in October. Likely they're going to end up in customers' hands a few weeks, a few months later, and we'll have a chance to drive them in the fall as well. And I'm looking forward to doing this because apparently that's quite fun, but I also want to drive the base model to see if that 1.5 liter cylinder can keep up with the size of the car and all of that. So once again, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one. You see Batman? Did you see Batman right there? You see, you got Batman here too.